Rural Heritage on RFD-TV is brought to you by Rural Heritage Magazine, a bi-monthly magazine featuring articles about farming and logging with draft animal power, small-scale diversified family farming and homesteading, and other aspects of our rich rural heritage. Rural Heritage Magazine, borrowing from yesterday to do the work of today. For subscription information, please call 319-362-3027 or order online at www.ruralheritage.com.
All right, howdy. We're going to do a little project today that we've enjoyed for a few years. Made different ones of these, goes along with just little pretties that we do. It's basically just a forged rose, and it's out of one piece of steel, as you can see. A piece of 1/4 inch. I ain't going to say what length, it's just a length. I probably might have cut this off. I've got the one I'm going to work on longer for a reason. Gives me a little more ability to handle it away from the hot end. So as we forge this, we're going to turn this piece of steel here into a rose. Or at least we're going to try. So the first thing to do, obviously, is we got to get her hot out on the end. Didn't take long. We got a piece of 1/4 inch hot rolled round stock here today. And we're going to start to square it up, actually, because it's round. We want our stem round, but we don't want our petals to be round. We're going to actually square them up before we flatten them out. So we're going to come out to the anvil, and we're going to concentrate on the area we got hot, and we're going to take our round edges off, round this out, and put some edges on it, I should say. And we're going to do that a good length of our bar. So as you see there, as we're in the fire and come out of the fire, it starts to get cold. And now we'll just start where we left off, find our place. I want to hammer that back there to where it begins to get cold. Lay it over, find where we're at, match it, turn it over again, over this side. We're just trying to make 4 square edges. We would like to keep them all about the same thickness all the way across. Okay, so that's kind of what we done. And I believe that'll work. So back into the fire. Now, to make our petals, we're going to put this tool in. This is a cut-off hardy. Fits down in the hardy hole. I'm not wanting to cut these off, so you got to be pretty careful. That's why it's just square. It's probably close to a 1/4 inch in squareness. If I go much thinner than that, I don't want to cut my petals off. I just want to make some indentions and some cut marks. Maybe halfway at most into this bar. And I'm going to try to alternate these. I remember the first one of these I did, I went like, well, there's about 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and I did them. But then when I rolled it up, all my marks wanted to come together in the same spot. So I found random, not to be so particular with just exactly where your cut lines are, becomes more better. So we're going to go in there. We're going to move it over a little. I'm just going to give it a tap. You notice I'm doing like 2. Don't want to get carried away. So then you have these lines that are in, believe it or not, those are going to turn into petals. I know, you don't believe it. I didn't believe it either. So we're going to find where we was a while ago. That one, I didn't really get it very deep, so I'm going to give it just a little bit more. You see, I've got I'm a little closer together, maybe what I would have liked. I should have them spread out a little bit more. It'll be all right. They'll be just fine. But I've got these spread out kind of in different lengths and edges of the length of my material. We'll see how that plays out when we're done. Okay, now we're pretty well down to where we stopped. As you can see, about right here where my hammer face starts, that's where I stopped doing my square, where I squared it all up from being round. I don't want to go any past that, so we're going to stop right there. Now we're going to put a little elbow in this. We'll be done with that. Try this. Little turning fork here. I'll come out to the edge of the end first. We're going to do this. Straighten it up. Something along the lines of that. As you can see, about where my bend, or where I flattened that out and squared it up, that's about where we start our bend. Because we're going to pull this out, we're going to draw all this out into a thin, almost a blade or a petal, if you will. Now we definitely got a little dog leg in that. We want to take that out next. It's going to happen every time you do it because that's not hot. Where I'm hitting at is hot, the rest of it's not. So it's not going to follow the same path as the rest of it when I hit it with the hammer. It's going to stay true, and I'm only going to bend what's hot. So we'll heat that up, straighten it. Just like that. And as I said different times, you don't have to just use the flat space of the anvil. You can use the whole anvil. I do a lot of times for all kinds of things, and that being one of them. So it's also important the way you bend it. You got to bend it to where your petals are out. And I'm going to start on the opposite end of my stem for the reason of I found that if I start on the other end of the stem, flattening that out, it becomes really weak right there, and I've broke them off where the stem and the petals are going to start. And I want to make sure that's the last thing that I work out. It's the thickest the whole time through, so I maintain the integrity of that piece of steel all the way up to where the stem starts, and that'll be the last thing to work on. All right, here we go. Coming out to the anvil, and now we're going to start flattening. So as you see, we start to take the heat, and then it gets cold, and we lay it on the anvil and hammer it a little bit, but you can see now where our cut lines that we started are becoming a little more defined, and they're going to become a little more defined yet the more we hammer and pull that out. So back into the fire we go. We'll come back out here. We're going to go back up to the thick side and start to look at some more. See how that wants to walk up as we go? I don't want that getting too thin up there. That's what I'm talking about. Where those cut lines are, if you get it too thin, when you're hammering down here, it'll snap it right up there. So I'm going to go back in the fire. We're going to do this. It's going to be kind of a slow process. We want to be careful back in through here, so we're going to have to heat that up again. I'll allow that thing to bend so much, but there comes a point that it won't bend anymore and it'll break. This is just basically a couple of extra heats to keep it all straight. Something to that nature. We're going to take that opportunity to straighten that a little while it's nice and warm where we want it. Now we're pretty straight again, see? That's what we want to do. We're going to get up into this area, and then we'll judge our thickness at that point, whether we want to work any more of that metal up or whether we just want to twist it up. And at some point it becomes too thin. We'll heat that up a little out here. If you notice, we're getting more of a dog leg again. I want to make sure I keep that straight. But if I try to hit that now on the edge of that anvil and straighten that up, I might have to break it. So I'm going to have to go in and heat that up. The thinner it gets, the faster it's going to move as you're working it on the anvil there. I'm just trying to keep this baby straight, and that looks good right there. Work these petals out a little bit. Okay. We are making progress, slowly but surely. Alrighty, we're getting there, just a little more, and then we're going to get into the meat of the potato here now. Okay, we'll stop with that, I think. Okay, so here's where we are now. What a mess, huh? So now, we've been working out here and coming back into the stem, back, working that all out. Now we're going to start up here, and we're going to go the opposite direction of what we're going to do next. And this is the exciting part. This is where what we've been working on all this time begins to finally take some shape instead of looking like a mess. And we'll come out to the anvil and with the hammer. And what we're going to do is, as I'm tapping this, you're going to see my left hand, I'm going to be rolling this way. And I'm just going to tap and tap this front side facing me with the hammer. I'm going to roll up until the point where it gets cold, because so much of this is going to be hot, and then I've got to stop, heat it back up, and then keep doing the same thing. So it's going to take just a couple of heats to get it right where we want it. Here we go. I'm turning. Now, it can only go so far. As you can see, we're getting thin. But we've got our define for our petal for sure. That looks really nice. That's what I like to see, because it comes out, it's got a nice thick blend and a nice thick taper to it right there where it starts, and that's what we want to do. So back in the fire we're going to go. There we go. Okay, we've made as much as we can make on that heat, so back into the fire. Here we go again. And then we'll stop. We don't want to stress it. So, as you can see, we're starting to get that form. That's what I'm looking for. Quit there. Keep working this. As you see, my orange is getting longer and further into my piece of work. As it goes, though, you can see that orange and the red leave, and we want to definitely make sure we're done hammering on it past that point. Now, I'm also using, not only am I rolling straight, otherwise I just have a round ball at the end rolled up. I'm rolling at this angle. Now we've kept that straight, you know, all this time when we forged it. But now that we're rolling it, we want to make sure we maintain this, some type of a angle. As we roll that, we want the rolls to fold over each one, leaving visible the other roll that we just did. That gives it the dimension, that gives it the three-dimensional shape. I'm liking that. It's going to look nice. That's one thing about blacksmith. You don't have to make a certain thing all the time to be able to make it again, because you're using the same techniques that you use to make so many other things over and over, and you're just able to make whatever you want to make at that time. It doesn't have to be as specific that you've made 1,000 of. So as you see right here, we're open. It's starting to get a little cold right there. We're going to heat up and work that out, because we don't want that in there. I don't like that too well. Although there's probably no perfect rows in nature. Got a piece of coal in there. We're going to lay it up here like this. And from the opposite side, we're going to tighten that up. That's pretty decent. Now, as you see here, this is good. This is a good deal. That there went past my other layers. No problem. We're going to heat that up. We're going to get us maybe a pair of pliers. Maybe we just set this on the anvil, push down a little bit or pull up a little bit. We're going to set that where we need to do it, and then we'll just keep on going on. No problem. Now I'm just going to unroll that a little bit and see if I can do what I just said. About that. We got rid of it. So now we might have a little bit of a bend of that. We were going to put a bend in that rose anyway. We're not worried about that whatsoever. We can straighten that up at the end, but chances are we're not going to, because I like how that kind of lays. So now we'll go back in the fire, and we'll give it just a little bit more. Looking like a rose. We're about to get there. That looks nice. Most of my lines are alternating, and that's what I want to see. They're not all lined up. As you see my roll in this next line, I'm going to have to do a little tweak, because I'm starting to roll basically under or over the top of the next one. So we're going to tweak that just a little bit, one way or the other. I like that. Okay, now we're about down to our, so we're going to open that up a little bit. I'm going to use the edge of the anvil here just to slide that up, tighten that up just a little bit like so. Okay. A little tweak here, there, and yonder. Now we're going to go ahead and get that last piece. Ever so gently. So that's what we end up with after we, if you remember, we didn't really draw it out, but we just squared it up. We used the cutoff hardy, we laid it across, we hammered on our square part, put the lines in that you see there and there, and then we got it hot, drew out, pulled those petals out of the steel, and then we rolled them up ever so gently and slightly to bring us back to where we have a rose. Now, all we need to do, and this thing's going to be hot for a few minutes, is it needs something underneath it just to dress it up a little bit. Okay, now we've cut us a little, almost looks like a star for the bottom of our rose, and I tried to put this piece in here where it's just a shade under the size of the stem so as I don't have to try to weld it or anything. So in order to do this, I'm going to try something. We put her end on, we've got her all put together now. Now we've got our forged rose out of a piece of 1/4 inch round stock. We can give the stem a little taper if we want to, give it a little bit of a curve. We can even do that just as simple, free-handed. It's coming in here just like this. Well, we'll do it this way so you can see better. Taking little small pieces of that, not going too far each time. There. And that's the forged rose. Hey, this is Bryan Headley, the singing blacksmith. I want to thank you all for hanging out with us for the last half hour, and hope you had a good time. And we hope life treats you kind. May your days be filled with blue skies and your nights in peaceful dreams. May you always ride with the sun at your back and your face a gentle breeze. May you shine like a star wherever you are and all you say and do. And may life treat you kind with much happy time. This is my wish for you. God bless you.
Thanks for joining us today at Rural Heritage and RFD-TV, where we borrow from yesterday to do the work of today. This program is available for purchase. To order your copy, please call 319-362-3027 or visit www.ruralheritage.com. Rural Heritage is a bi-monthly magazine dedicated to draft animal farming and logging, as well as other aspects of our rich rural heritage. It is published by Mishka Press, which also offers a complete line of back-to-the-land books, DVDs, and calendars. Call or write for a catalog or subscription information, or visit our website at www.ruralheritage.com.